Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Plus3 Futures and Commodities Show. It is Saturday afternoon, August 13th, and my name is Ben Maldonado, and I'm here, as always, with my partner, Barrie Hederachi. Barrie, how we doing today?
Hi, Ben. I'm doing pretty good. Pretty
Well,
exciting times. So,
I am so fired up. We are in a huge cycle window and we got a packed show. On this show, we're going to cover Bitcoin, ES, NQ, 30-year bonds, gold, crude oil, the dollar, the euro, corn, wheat, soybeans, silver, copper, sugar, cotton, coffee. Everything is starting to move. That's the bottom line. So, and by the way, all of those subjects, when you're looking at the video, you can go down and see the tabs and you can go to a different section if you want to listen to one thing or another, but they'll all be separated for you too. So it'll be easy to listen. But without any further delay, let's jump right in. Look at old Bitcoin, Barrie, pushing, 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 trying to get above that full square.
sloppy but directional.
Yeah, 3 days in a row, we're just pushing the top. The highs are right sitting on top of the square. So, I mean, nothing's changed in Bitcoin. If you followed the story for a long time, we were getting short here and here because we were getting stuck under levels, wrote it down. We talked about how in here you were finding support and looked like we were going to try and push on this level. It's not super strong, but it is, if you want to say what's direction is it's trading, it's pushing higher. We're coming into resistance. The other thing I'd note is that we're looking at a time cycle that this thing has showed, which is 141 days coming up August 17th. So that's next week. So can it push higher and maybe go up to the eighth here around 26, 27,000? I think it's possible. But it's not showing any strength, any real strength anyway. It's just sort of burning off time, in terms of this latest cycle. Anything you're seeing differently here on Bitcoin?
Well, it's steady. We have to hand it that.
Yeah, it's
And
holding.
long as we're making higher lows and we're grinding higher ever so slowly, it's okay. And you can see, we get 3 times up there right against the square. And really trying to squeeze it out. So if we get above, we have to kind of respect that.
Yeah,
See how it
yeah.
goes, at least to the next quarter of the square, where the next resistance is.
Here and then here.
Right
Yeah,
there. Yeah. Where is
yeah.
that?
That's around 29,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and that would be the apex of that triangle. So it is a logical place to have some resistance. Bigger picture targets are in this box here, anywhere from 9,000 to 12,000 are the lower targets right now. So we'll see how it plays out. Let me throw it over to you and let's dive in because, as I said, we got a lot to cover on the show today.
All right, let's do that.
There's E-mini pushing.
Pushing away, man.
Yeah.
Relentless. This is how it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
Fair market rally.
It's a squeeze / bear market rally. No question about it.
Although technically we took out the 50%. So but that's just I don't think that's a hard and fast rule. So
No, I think it's just a rule to throw people off. But anyway, that's another time, another story.
Mm-hmm. All right. So just to pick up, well, first of all, if it's the first time you're watching the show, please go back and check the last few shows so you can get up to date on the sort of the storyline. And also, if you like our work, please remember to like and hit the alarms and subscribe and share. That being said, last week, well, a couple of weeks ago, we had this as a target up in the 72-degree level, and I drew in this box being the ideal target. We had an ABCD going up, and we ran up into that area, and we hung around for about a week, and we had all kinds of timing line up at that point. And Ben and I were talking about this. We were really watching the levels because when you have all kinds of stuff, it's also easy for the market to snap and go the other way, like have a breakout instead of a breakdown.
True.
And that's why we look at all the, we keep track of all the levels. Boy, let me know if you guys can hear that thunder. Can you hear that, Ben?
I heard that one. Yeah.
because it's our rainy season in Costa Rica. So there's a huge storm brewing. So we'll see. If it gets too loud, I'll close the windows.
I thought you were doing like dramatic special effects, Barry. You know?
Yeah. Well, somebody knows.
Yeah.
All right. So getting back into the chart. After we cleared this 50%, we had this low coming in at 144 degrees. So we saw that and we called that out. Then we were looking for higher lows. We had that. And then the next key level was this 3850, cleared that. Then the 50% of the square, which is the dashed red line. Once we cleared that, this pullback held above that. We were looking for it to go up and challenge the 72 area. Mm-hmm. And well, so if you go back last few episodes, you'll catch all of that.
Yep.
And so I drew in this box a couple of weeks ago to say, hey, this is the area. If we're going to stop, this is the area, ideal area to stop. And last week we got right under, we hit the minimum level of this 4164, one bar last week. We pulled back. And on the last week's show, we talked about pullbacks. We said, look, as long as it's holding above 4100 on any kind of a pullback, we're in pretty good shape, right?
Yeah, that was one of your key levels, 41.
And we held well above 4100. So then you have to look to the long side. Then I posted a couple of things intraday that would help you sort of zero in on the support level a couple of times, 30-minute, and also, there were a couple of other intraday charts, I think. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so last week we got into the zone of the resistance, the key level here, 72 degrees, and we broke through. So we were looking, if it held the 4100, we were looking for it to be, we were bullish on it, unless we hit up here, hit one of these key levels like 4260, and we turn back around. And you can see, if you watch the charts intraday, like Thursday's high was very close to 4260, mm-hmm. and we sold off. It came back, but didn't take out the Thursday low. Right, the next day we opened, checked back around the open close, Thursday's close, and we started to move higher. And so that was the retest. Okay, that was sort of the retest, and now we're off to the races again. And so all of this stuff down here that we had is, of course, support. Upside, I think the next reasonable target's about 100 points away, really. I mean, it's 4370 looks good. And I have that, and that's 90 degrees up from the low. So that's reasonable to think that. And before that, 4370 to 4390, that's one area. The other one is really, no, there's really not much in between.
Not a whole lot.
We should just go right up there, mm-hmm. one way or the other. Now, when we say it should go up there, we're really, any kind of an uptrend, we're watching the counter trends, right? Because counter trends are going to tell us how much strength is in the market. This is for all markets that we'll be talking about. And in this case, the areas to really watch would be 42.25. So we want to watch that, pullbacks to hold above that. Mm-hmm. And if things get a little bit out of hand, 41.90 and 41.40. We can go to 41.40 and still be okay. All right. So let me put that in, 41.40, and still be just fine. And the other number we're shifting down to be 42.25
and 41.90. Yeah.
So 41.90, I'll put that in there. So that's the other level. Mm-hmm. And let's just move this to 42.25. So those are sort of the three numbers we're watching. And so those are the three numbers. And what we're looking for is if it holds above 42.25, like we come up here, market reverses, that means it's really strong, right? So mm-hmm. basically the higher the retracement level, the stronger it is. If it gets down to 41.40, yeah, it's still bullish, but it might take longer to get up there. Right now, we got full-blown momentum, so it looks like it's going for the kill. Mm-hmm. And if it's doing that, then the pullback should be shorter and shorter. And on the upside, 43.70s, I think it's a reasonable level to look at, 43.70 to 90.
Yeah, I mean that fits with the stuff I was looking for. 43.62, then 44.41 if they really, really want to push.
Ah, okay,
And I
okay.
see you got 44.50 up there.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that yet, but but it's a possibility.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, is that thunder too loud, or can you still hear me? Okay.
No, you're fine. You're
Okay.
fine.
So really, if we get a dramatic downside at some point, it's really this is the channel to watch. We'll have to tap the bottom of the channel at some point, and it'll have to work itself out. But long as in sort of the zoomed out version within this channel, it's in a powerful space, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And looking at the weekly chart, well, not much. We had support. We were looking for a test of the halfway point, or the middle part of the square, and we got the test, and we got through it. So that's the bullish part. So there's more upside left, and I'll just leave it at that. Now, when we talk about upside left, it doesn't mean the next pullback is going to start an entire new down leg. While it could, right? But it's
Mm-hmm.
possible for it to come back, correct, and move higher. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we're watching these to hold on any kind of a counter trend in this leg. Okay, so yeah, that's all I have for the ES. Let's move on to bonds.
Very interesting week in bonds too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at a
Hold on,
critical
Ben.
spot.
I gotta close this window. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, you can hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's you can see bonds are testing a critical spot there at the end of the week.
So we had a target up here around 146 and an ABCD potentially getting up there. And we almost got to 146 a couple of weeks ago, and we were looking for it to consolidate above 140 and to any kind of a correction to come and test that level, which we did last week.
Mm-hmm.
So for next week, as long as 140 holds, we can expect it to move higher or consolidate up here. The trend is a little sloppy, but it's intact as long as we're holding 140. And I'll leave it at that. If 140 goes, then we can expect lower prices. So the key level to watch will be 140. And moving on to the weekly, not much. 141 was the key level to clear one way or the other. And you can see last week we were sort of between where we're on both sides of it. So it's not really clear. If Monday we can hold that 140 and clear 141 and get on top of that level, I think it's probably more positive. And if we sort of get stuck under 141 and also 140 from the daily level, then I would think that it's going to be on weaker grounds. So those are the two numbers for bonds. Anything you want to add?
Nope, just that we're in a very critical spot. It's either holds here or it's, next leg down, it's starting.
Yeah, it's exactly on 140, right? When we look at that bounce right off there. So, okay, here's crude. Added the circle last week. And what else did we have?
That's a great circle, by the way. It's really good.
Well, circles, right? It's so far so good.
Yeah.
But it's a good way to give you an idea of what, when price normally leaves the circle, that there's a whole new trend that starts. So, if we go up to the end and wherever we break out, we should get a rally off of that. If since the move is down, right? So I'll leave it on there just to see. It's fun to watch these work out over time.
Yeah.
And last week I left it off talking about this 91 level and saying, if we can hold the low we had the prior week and somehow get up above 91 and eventually clear the square, the 72, we can expect a stronger market and for it to go back and, test higher levels. Well, we did that, but we really couldn't clear the square,
No.
with the 72. You can see how it, Thursday and Friday it tried, but it got pushed lower. Now this level is, you can see how we had this 91 forever,
Mm-hmm.
and but what we did was we did manage to put two lows above it and make some air above it. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of positive,
Yeah.
especially being the week before we had the highs right below it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Now we have the lows on top of it. So it's something starting to happen. And the
Not
low
ready
low,
yet, but it's building.
it's building. And
Mm-hmm.
the low before that was this ABCD. So it's an equal leg. This leg
Mm-hmm.
and this leg are equal. So
Mm-hmm.
there's some symmetry there. But for it to pan out, this really needs to sort of get going. It can't, mess around here for too long. So for next
No.
week, let's just leave it at, if it's above 91, we can expect it to at least, test 97 and maybe higher. But if we slip below 91, then I think the circle might be correct and we could, break lower. And I think we mentioned last week, if the low goes, then, 73 is not out of the question.
No, because what I have is I got weekly support around 89, monthly at 87. If we lose those, then it's 75.
Okay. Yeah, I have 83 here and
Mm-hmm.
73
Mm-hmm.
down here. And if anybody wants to know, the 72-degree level is 94. So
Mm-hmm.
it's right in there.
By the way,
Now,
all these levels are on a spreadsheet, which we'll post the link when we post the video. So if you want to find the levels, they're in a spreadsheet.
mhm. Again, we have the 90-degree level coming off the COVID 2020 lows,
Mm-hmm.
and that lines up around 96, 97. So that's where we got that, and we're well under that. So, I'm a little bearish on this yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we held the trend line last week, so we'll see how we do next week. We have
Maybe a
another one.
flush coming, huh?
It could be. So far, it's not exactly bullish, right? We really
No.
could clear the square on the daily. It's not. It's trying to hold 91, but it's not really clean. It's getting a
Mm-hmm.
lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that paper selling going on, Ben.
Right. Right.
It's yeah, you can see that there's a lot of pressure. All right, getting back to the daily. So that's what it looks like. So really, the zone that we need to watch would be between 91 and 97. This is the
Right.
box we've had in here for months and months. So now you can see the pattern, right? Earlier we were on top of it, testing and moving higher, and then we started losing it, got under it. Now we're sort of below
In
the
it.
square.
Right.
So it's definitely in a weaker position.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to gold. Gold is really testing this 1814 level. That's the one and you guys, a couple of weeks ago, we kind of did the in-depth in gold, and last week a little bit, I think. So this week we don't have much to touch on since gold just kind of sat there right under.
Sideways, yeah.
Yeah, 1814. The low seems okay because we were looking at this 1676. Pretty much got there around. We had some timing, and we were looking for a move higher, and or at least a retest of the 72 level. We got that, got on top of it, grinding through it, and now we're slowly challenging 1814. So I would say, if you're trading gold, long as we're holding above this 72 on pullbacks, it's the upside is okay. That's the support you want. If you break 1786, then it becomes a little bit questionable.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, yeah, it's okay.
It's building.
It's building, and you can see where we tested the 50% here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we can clear 1814, we're probably going to clear the half square at about the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Once you settle above that, then we're going to go test up in this zone. So and we really haven't had a deep pullback, right? It's very steady buildup. You can see the down days are just 1 day, 2 day pullbacks. So that's very bullish.
I'd like to see a decent pullback, and that would tell us a lot. We give us a higher low, and if we got a higher low, it would be something really bullish to trade off of.
And so we should get one. I mean, look, wave wise, we had 1, 2, and so we're jamming on the 3 here.
Mm-hmm.
And we might have finished it up here. So then we'll probably get some kind of a consolidation. The thing to watch is if we're going to consolidate below 1814 or above it, right?
Exactly.
So if it's above 1814, we probably had another leg left in it. If it's below 1814, well, something else is probably setting up. And have to come back and see. But no matter what's setting up, the weekly looks fairly steady. We came down to test a 180 up from the old lows, and we had 4 weeks steady up, right? You don't see one red bar, so it was very, very strong. It's funny how gold moves when nobody's looking.
Totally.
We have all kinds of drama going on, and gold takes off, for a whole month. Right?
Yep. Quietly. The work we do, right? We saw this support, we called it out at the time. And so once you know these key levels, the rest is just trading. You have to kind of watch it, and squares paid off again. So far it's okay. Basis weekly, there's 1881 really is the next resistance level. So we're kind of clean up until then. 1767 basis weekly is a good, if we next whatever pullback that we get on a weekly basis, if we hold it above 1767, I think gold's probably in good shape. And let's look at the dollar. A lot of interest in the dollar these days.
So dollar, I mean, we're right up against, right up in the near the highs here. So we talked about it when we went to 144. We were watching to see if we can hold above it, but we couldn't. Then we saw it consolidate below the square, and we talked about how consolidating below is bearish. And sure enough, we broke lower, and now we're sort of in a consolidation phase. If you go up, we're going to have to test the 107 area. To the downside, 105 is sort of an area we're watching. But I think just to if we leave the square on here, I would say 104.25. This 1/3 of the square, it looks reasonable at this point. And I say that also because of the structure, right? When the structure and levels line up, it works pretty well. And also because you can see the 1/3 held this line in May, right? The May low in the dollar. So that means the 1/3 sort of is vibrating. So it's okay. And you can see it held here. Yeah. And held here. So we'd like it to hold above that on any kind of a pullback. But if it doesn't get that weak, it's probably going back up to test this 107 area. So we'll see. But I don't have any support right here. So the support would be around 104.25. Yeah, that's it for the dollar. And looking at the weekly, well, we did finish up that high. So my
price and time too. You got the half square time wise.
Yeah, so we'd square it out on a weekly basis on a square of 52, which is ideally that's what you'd want. And we finished sort of the normal measured move up there. So the high looked okay. Now, if we're going to be strong about it, we would have pulled back and held above the halfway point and rallied higher. We didn't do that. We broke lower, came all the way down to the 1/3 of the square 52, and we're kind of hanging around the 50%. So what I'm guessing is it's probably going to consolidate in here.
There's a battle.
There's a battle, and it's sort of a consolidation next week, and maybe the next couple of weeks. We'll watch it and see. But watch those levels, long as the 104.25 holds. I think we can challenge 107. That's not too much of a stretch, right? That's the weekly. Let's take a look at the euro. Well, we've been looking for it to finish the this move coming off the lows. That was 240 degrees off the high, square of 60. And we had this ABCD drawn out. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, it would have been good to go up and test that. But we also have this area, we were looking at, I think last couple of times we talked about it coming up and testing the 50% of the square or these lows, just basic structure. And last week we did come up exactly and we tested those, and that's where that line came from. And now we're backing off. So looking at the dollar and the euro, looks like, everybody's going to consolidate in here next week, and it might be sloppy. So watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Watch your position, because we really don't have any levels here. I don't have any levels in this mess. So let it clear it out, and we'll figure it out going forward. But for now, I think this is the high for next week. I think this high is going to hold for next week. And perhaps this low might hold, but it looks more like it's messy.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if this was a false break, above these highs. So we'll see.
It doesn't look super strong, that's for sure.
No, because it took a lot to get up to, muster up enough energy to go up and test the key level there.
Mm-hmm.
But we did have timing. We had 45 down on that last leg, so
Sure.
There was enough there for the low. It's just how fast are we going to sort of giddy up and go, right?
Exactly.
And here it's taking its time. So it's, sometimes currencies do that. It can spend a lot of time after the low before it gets going.
Mm-hmm.
And so we might be in that kind of a grind situation, but the low looks good. But if that goes, then we're getting down into the 80s, right? So because if that goes, it opens up the entire next square.
Yep, no question.
Right. So that's the thing to watch, and that's why you want to be not too early to jump into this. So we're watching that. And let's bring up the weekly euro. This is a chart from last week. Here's where the low came in. It was a third of the square. And initially we were just looking for a test of half the square. And the next would be really, you guys saw on the daily, all we did was come up and test these, the old lows right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the key now is if we can hold above the 50%, start consolidating above this, I think then it's bullish, and we can probably go up to 105 and maybe get on top of it. Then we have a shot at going up and testing the 72.
Mm-hmm.
If we can't make it above this, then we're probably going to be, then the next question is, we're going to consolidate above the half or below, right?
Exactly.
So if somehow we break the half, then there's a higher chance for it to go lower basis weekly. So we'll have to watch that, and watch last week's low, which was 101.88. So key level to watch. And the 50% of the square was 102.3. So those are the key levels to watch basis weekly. And for now it looks like it's kind of running out of steam.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's all I got.
Okay, good review.
Breaking out of channels and everything here.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's this here? This is a 270. So 43.50, 55, and that would be 270 degrees from the 2020 lows.
Mm-hmm.
So that 43, 55, 60, that's really the level to watch. 70, we're going to come in here and test it now. And that looks like that's what's pulling it up. So we'll leave it at that for now.
Excellent review.
Hey, thanks. And let me put it back to you. Cover all the commodities.
Fantastic.
All right, man. Bro, Ben, looks like it's taken out the half square you had last week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here we were last week. You can even see where we closed last Friday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we were pushing up against the half square in this, call it 13,380, 13,400 area.
Mm-hmm.
Had a little pullback, and then boom, blasted through it last 3 days of the week.
Pullback was 3/8 and off to the races.
Off to the races. So now Now the full square is in play up here, which call it 14,000. That will be in play as long as we stay above this half square. But the other thing I'll point out, time-wise, I've been running these counts based on high to low, low to high since we started the bear market. You could say in the Nasdaq in November was the high, and then we went down. Then they play out interestingly off of these various lows we've seen, anywhere from the 15th, which is Monday, to 19th or 26th. So the next couple weeks, and market after market after market is showing major inflection points coming in the next 2 weeks. We've been talking about our bigger cycle on Twitter as well as on these shows. We're in that window, solidly in that window now. So there is a lot of activity. We have a lot of markets to cover, but you can see NQs are moving up very strongly into this timing. Obviously bullish, until we hit some sort of level where we see a turn. Anything else to add here on NQs?
No, other than that 46 looks interesting. What's the date on that?
That's the 19th, August 19th.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that would match these high to low, low to low timing we saw on the way down.
Yeah, now it's just pedal to the metal, eh? Just let it.
Yeah, let it play out. Let's see. The next test is either here or back here on the pullback.
Right.
And we'll see how it goes.
I mean, it's going to push as far as it can and get everybody all bullied up. So that's whatever level that is.
No question. I mean, the two targets I have are 14,000 and 14,220. They're 90 up from different levels here, different lows. One's right here, and one's like up about here. 14,220 is right in here.
Okay.
So let's watch it and see.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the first quick summary on the commodities. Last week, the theme was they're not quite there. That was the big theme. Now we're sort of seeing this first leg in some of the markets close to finishing up. So pullbacks are going to be incredibly important, right? Do they give us higher low? Do they hold full square or important half square levels? And as we go over these various markets, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. The other thing was there was serious money moved into softs last week, and we'll cover that as well. Let's start off with the grains. Here's wheat. Wheat wasn't showing any dramatic strength, but man, it's really liking this level here and holding it.
Yeah.
You can see how long we've been testing that, basically a month and a half now.
Yep.
And that's, call it, 770, 775 area. Super important in wheat. The monthly support is at 755, so that's a good reason why when you look up at a bigger time frame. But as long as we sit on top of this 755 area, we had a sharp pullback on news Friday on all the grains, and then they rallied up towards the high. So if it can take out this high here, that previous day's high, Thursday's high at like 821, we could see some movement in wheat. But the 3 drive, which turned into a 4th drive, which was a false break, it's really starting to shape up like we got a decent low here. Now it's just, looking to get in and time momentum-wise, time the next move higher. You seeing anything differently here on wheat?
No, that's good. It's a good summary. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom looks to be in. We have to watch it. We have to see how pullbacks hold up. Do they hold support? Do they sit on the square?
And it did break the sharp trend line down, so that's setting up quietly.
Yep. And it caught that super long trend line from back in 2022 at the low. So let's see what happens there. Let's check out corn next. Corn's a little further along. We've actually had the first pullback, which look where it held, right on the half square. For those that have been following along, we called it coming into the low, had this nice move out. We said, let's watch this first pullback. There's your first pullback.
Right.
right into the half square, play the reversal. Now you're sitting up on top of the full square. So corn looks great. Again, maybe this is the first wave up. Maybe we're going to complete this ABCD into this, half square or 5/8 here, and then pull back. And you want to see where the pullbacks hold. Holding this full square would be really bullish on a pullback. Interesting thing is a lot of these commodities, if you look at them, they're breaking when they came down to make their lows. They're breaking previous levels of support, and then they rocket out of here. Like, look, you had two lows, and everyone thought this was the higher low. They come here, sweep the stops, and then go. Anything else to point out in corn?
We're good.
Here's the strongest one of the three so far is beans. We did a perfect ABCD down into a half square, called that in real time. And again, it's not any genius or crystal ball here. It's just when you have that kind of formation into an important support level, it tells you a lot. And then we moved out strongly, pulled back. Now we pushed up, and now we're holding this half square. And this is what you want to see, like in a bullish market, right? You push up, you pull back on top of the level, you push up, pull back on top of the next level, and you sort of build this structure that can take you higher. Beans, as you can see, Friday, there was a crop report. It's down hard, closed near the high. That's bullish price action. So again, we're watching to see, okay, where does this first sort of move up end? Where does the next pullback come in? If you're not involved in the market, you want to buy into support or pullbacks to here or here. See how, and the next big test is how do we react at this resistance up here on the full square, which is also structural resistance from these highs or these lows. So anything else to add on beans?
No, I think, like you said, no, I think your wrap is good. It's good.
Yeah. So the grains all look very good. Wheat is the laggard right now, but they're all sort of doing the things that they need to do to show that a low is in and sort of something ended here. And now we're trying to figure out, are we getting the next leg higher starting on this move here?
Yeah, I was thinking when you asked me, I was in mid thought wondering about how wheat's sort of lagging here, and I was wondering if corn and beans might do a steeper correction to catch up and then get in sync and perhaps start moving after the next bigger pullback along with wheat, right?
It's funny you say that because my feeling is like, yes, the lows look good, but we're not done testing them. Like maybe there's one more flush coming to shake the trees before we really set off on the bull leg on all these commodities. But we'll just see how. We don't have to guess. Let's watch the price action and have the levels tell us whether or not the onus is to the downside or the upside. Right now, they're corn and beans are looking very bullish, and the lows are looking good. So we'll see. All right, let's jump over to the metals. Here's silver. Barrie covered gold very well, and gold is looking bullish. The low looks good. Silver's looking kind of similar here. Right now, we're testing this half square, and you can see, for 3 or 4 days it held, and then Friday we got a close on the high above the half square. So Sunday night, Monday, it's going to be interesting to see if they can build on that, push up to give us room to sit on top of this half square. And let's call it in the 2077, 2078 area. And you can see from the lows in May and June, it's a pretty important area structurally as well. But this low came in, we called it in real time and said, look, once we get over this full square here on the bottom, that's going to be bullish. And there's your move, there's your first pullback, and now we're testing in this half square. I like silver. I think it looks very promising that these lows are in. Do I think we're not going to see any kind of pullback? No, I do think there's some kind of pullback coming, and we got to watch it and make sure we're on top of it. And it holds really important levels like this full square here at 1883. That would be the do or don't line for me. What do you have to say about silver at this point?
I think it's starting to happen. So we'll have to I've been watching it. It's slow, but it's steady. Low looks like, in gold, low came in. We know the low was good on the weekly gold,
Mhm.
and silver normally follows. So it looks like it's setting up. I know it's setting up quietly, right? So
Very quietly. There's not a lot of fanfare about either gold or silver now, which is very bullish.
yeah, so your half square is the key level to deal with next, and after that, probably a little bit of room to breathe after that.
Absolutely. So we're on top of silver. Let's check out copper. This has been a stellar performer since we started talking about it about 3 weeks ago. Sharp correction, really, really sharp correction, came down, found support on this half square. And then when we saw this structure in here, and we had a square with time and price here at the low, we said, okay, we're going to watch this to look for setups on the 4 hour or the lower time frames. We got involved, wrote it up for the ABC, got a pullback, and then it just took off once it pulled back, because the pullback couldn't even get to the full square here. And that's a bullish sign, right? They couldn't even push it down to test that square. And now we've gone above the half square. So the next test coming up this week will be on any pullbacks. Do we hold this half square? If we can hold this, call it 360, 362 level, that means we're going up to test, 380, 390. But this is the sort of anatomy of a good low. You come down, you get a square out on a very important structural point, which here was the half square, and then you get the push out, and we start moving. I know you've been looking at copper too, Barrie. What are your comments here on copper?
Well, I think so far so good, and I have a ABCD set up on my chart, one of my charts to watch,
Mm-hmm.
because after a big washout, ABCD, run is normal, and after that it'll have a correction, and it's following that we get the next the bigger leg. So
Right. If we get that higher low on the pullback and it holds
right,
support, that's what sets up for the wave three.
like almost on a weekly basis, but daily's fine. But that'll set it up. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
looks
And that
good.
made, and I think your point is well taken. A lot of especially the commodities that have moved, the next play is exactly that. We want to watch the pullback on a daily or a weekly basis to see that next setup. Do we get a higher low? Does it hold structural support? Do we get it on an important level on the square and reverse? And if we do, that's the wave you want to catch.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let's go to the softs. The interesting thing about the softs is they've kind of been laggards and kind of been dead. Mostly sideways movement, other than, cotton, which got crushed. And this week, for some reason, money poured into all of them. All of them were strong. All of them showed really good price action. And I want to go over three with you that look really interesting. First one is sugar. Now, the thing to notice about sugar, as well as the other two I'm going to show you, is watch the clean out move. So sugar's been in this sideways correction for over a year now. We had a nice move going up in 2021, and then we started bouncing around sideways, came down here, did a little false break right on the square, on the half square, rallied up out, then we got weak again. And then look what they did here. See this little clean out move?
Yeah.
Took out the half square, grabbed all the
False break. Yep.
stops, got a false break, and now we have 3 days in a row, end the week closing on highs. Boom, boom, boom. And we closed above the full square. So this is on the radar to watch to see, look, there's a lot of congestion in here, obviously, but I want to see if there's any kind of follow through. And if we hold this full square on any pullbacks, that's going to be a bullish sign that, hey, maybe this clean out move here that took out these stops and the lows over here, maybe this is the start of the next leg and the correction is over. But you got a basic year-long sideways correction in sugar that if we can catch them when it's done and the next leg up starts, the move could be really, really powerful. Anything else to add here on sugar?
No, no, I think we're good.
Here's one that we posted on Twitter and got
Other
involved.
than that big triangle that is working, so when that breaks, that's the thing to really watch.
No question.
In sugar, yeah.
And it's getting tighter, as you can see, too.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one that we got involved with, posted some stuff on Twitter, and it's worked out very, very well, and that's cotton. Unlike sugar, as you can see, cotton basically got crushed in the last 3-4 months. It was up here around 160, 170. Well, it's 155 was the high, and the low was down here at 82. But what we saw was we squared out on the low.
Mm-hmm.
We made a nice move up here and sat on top right here. You can see we sat on top of this full square on a daily basis. When you go down to a 4 hour, you even had an earlier entry on this pullback here. But after we sat on top of this full square, look at the move we got in the last couple of weeks. And that's that sort of, first pullback that sits on a square on a daily basis. And then you can get these kind of powerful moves. Right now, we want to see on a pullback, do we find support on this half square, which is around, call it 104? If so, it opens up 116, 117.
Mm-hmm.
Previous old lows would be new resistance. Ultimately, you're going to fill this gap. And if the bull market's taken off again, you're going to take out these highs. So this, while it's still early, has been a great move so far. And we want to watch pullbacks now again to see if we get involved. If this is wave one and we get a wave two pullback that holds this full square, be a beautiful setup.
Yeah.
Any other comments on cotton?
No, we're good. Everything's on pullback mode.
That's right. That's right.
Pullback surveillance, right?
So let's go. Last one we're going to look at today is coffee. Here's one that again it's got a similar sort of pattern as the sugar. It's been mostly a sideways correction now for 7-8 months. We made the highs and then we've been, in this channel. Well, look what they did recently. You got 1, 2, 3, evenly spaced sort of 3 drives down. Mm-hmm. And this move here was the one that caught my attention because it cleaned out these lows. It came down and even cleaned out these lows from over here back in October, November, and then strongly reversed. And then we were chopping around, and I was saying, okay, what's going on? Are we gonna clear this level? Are we gonna be able to sit on top of this square so we can do something? And then look at the move on Friday. Took out all these highs, closed on the high. So I'm watching coffee very, very closely here. The 212 level is super important. We can hold that and stay on top of that on any pullbacks. It could set up the next move higher. Remember, we're coming back into this mess, so you always have to be wary of whether you're going to, just chop around or not. But this looks like it wore a lot of people out. And so I'm watching that bar on Friday. If there's any kind of follow through, the next leg up in coffee could be starting. So we're going to watch that very, very closely. How about you? I know you love coffee to drink, but what do you think about coffee as a place to put your money?
I think it's a place to put the money.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like the setup.
Trade the long side.
Yeah. So again, the bigger picture in the commodity world is, like the grains are still sort of finding their bottoms and correcting. Things like cotton has had a nice move. Copper has had a nice move out of the low. Gold and silver have had decent moves. Now things like sugar and coffee are kicking up. So money is flowing into the space. It's up to us to identify, the times when momentum's going to kick in and there's a good risk reward for getting involved on the long side. The monthlies, as you check the monthly show that we do, once a month, the monthlies are all very bullish, and these pullbacks on many of the commodities have come right into important levels of support where there was previous breakouts or there were squares. So the commodity complex is a place where we definitely want to have money, and the charts turning around in this time frame as they are, during this big cycle window is really getting my attention and making me, pay attention, because it's telling us the time is coming to have money in this space again.
Mm-hmm.
So this week I'm going to be watching the S&P, I'm going to be watching NQs, and I'm going to be watching the commodities that we highlighted, because the next couple of weeks are critical in terms of setting up the next move in all of these markets. And we're close in many markets, not quite there, but we're close. And the time to pay attention is now. It's not July where we just kind of said, the stuff's still in the middle of this, or still doing that, or has work to do with stuff. The time is now. So the next couple of weeks are critical for setting up your potential trades for the next 3 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Barry? What are you looking at this week?
Well, it's one of those rare times we have to keep an eye on everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's what I'll be doing. We got to definitely have some positions to watch. Commodities, we got the S&P going. A lot of the things are on watching to see if we're pulling back, the rest are consolidating, and some to see how far they can run this week if they're running. So
right.
But everything's on the move, right? So
yeah, and so, like it is, some are starting and some are terminating, and we're trying to catch these corners, because this is the next couple of weeks is big. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Great job on the show, Barry. Thanks for your review.
Thanks, Ben. Good coverage, all the commodities and everything. And everybody have a good week. We'll catch you next week.
Have a great week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks.